Hello, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Monday morning Breastfeed Facebook Live. It has been a huge weekend. We had our first face-to-face classes that we've had in 12 months back here in Tamworth, which was a lot of fun. We did the baby and child first aid classes on the Saturday, and we did our childbirth education classes yesterday. So I think I slept for 10 hours last night. I was just exhausted and very happy to be back here on a Monday morning talking to you all and answering your questions. So you know the drill. As always, say hello, let me know where you're watching from, either how many weeks pregnant you are or how old your baby is, and I will do my best to answer any of your questions. If I'm not able to answer your questions, I will either point you in the way of the right resources that will be able to answer your questions, or I'll speak to sort of my little brains trust of colleagues and get back to you. A few questions are already coming in through on Instagram, so I will answer those for you all today. But please let me know, say hello, where you're watching from. And if it's your first time here, hello and welcome. So we've had lots of new followers, and I think that since we announced our masterclass that we're going to be doing this Thursday on all things sleep, I feel like it's kind of a bit of a topical area, but it's also an area that people feel very passionately about. And a lot of the women that I've already been working with and using the program with, we've really taken them from a place, I think sleep, it's like there's this expectation that when you have a newborn or a baby, your sleep is going to be compromised, and it is going to be different. But some of the women that we're working with, like, they were just not getting enough sleep for them or for the baby. So it's pretty life-changing stuff. So I'm super excited to be sharing that. If you haven't already registered, I'll pop the link here now for you around the masterclass. That is going to be a free session that we're running this Thursday night. We'll do it live, so we are limiting numbers. It is filling really quickly, so it's likely that it's going to fill in the next day or two, because we're going to do a live Q&A for you all as well. Now, sorry, hello, I'm missing questions. Hello, Mel. Mel has said, how do I introduce a comforter? Now, that's a really good question. So again, I always use this opportunity just to educate you if you don't know what a comforter is, or just give general information. So first and foremost, when you are establishing good, healthy sleep environment and sort of the foundations of sleep, up until the age of about 12 to 16 weeks, a comforter is actually not encouraged. So a comforter is, let me just grab, I'm trying to just see. Yes, we've got one here. Good. I'm just checking that I actually had Polly's old comforter, so my daughter's comforter. So a comforter is really something that you use to create a positive sleep association. So just a little toy, something like this. Why we don't introduce them in those first 3 months or 3 to 4 months is that it's actually a SIDS risk. So we don't want any toys, we don't want any pillows, bunting, anything in the baby, with the baby in their independent sleep space. So it's against SIDS recommendations. So no stuffed toys, no pillows, no peanut pillow, unless it's recommended by a pediatrician. So a comforter is considered a toy and falls into that clarification. So not introducing a comforter until about at least 3 or 4 months of age, when you're starting to unswaddle your baby and your baby's able to independently lift their head. Why this is important, I'm going to use a little example here, because if that covers the baby's face, it is a suffocation risk. So when to introduce a comforter is after the baby is 3 or 4 months old, is able to lift their head, and is likely unswaddled, or you have started to unswaddle baby and they've got one arm out. Now, the power of a comforter, though, is that it is such a good positive sleep association. So a few things around how to introduce it, Mel, is that it must only be used for sleep time. So what I find is a lot of people introduce the comforter, the baby gets very attached to it, or the toddler gets very attached to it, wants to take it to daycare, wants to take it on outings in the pram, and then is allowed to, and that's when it then becomes a bit of a confusing message. The comforter is the key to be able to say, now is time for sleep. So you want to incorporate it into your sleep routine. Prior to introducing the comforter, if you're currently breastfeeding milk, and this is a great one for everybody before you start to introduce the comforter, for a day or two, have it just down your bra or sleep with it or have it under your shirt, have it in bed with you for a couple of days. The reason being that the scent and the smell and the association that the baby's going to have is they're going to be able to be smelling you on the comforter, and this works really well when you're introducing it to a younger baby as well. And then only using it for sleep times. So it then becomes part of the sleep routine or part of the sleep rhythm that you're going to establish, which includes changing a nappy, darkening the room, turning on the white noise, saying to your baby, I say use the sleepy phrase, so good night, sleepy time, I love you, but using the same sleepy phrase for every sleep, popping them into their sleep bag or swaddling them, whatever stage you're up to, and handing them their comforter. That creates part of your sleep routine. Hugely powerful, but be consistent. The challenge with the comforters is that they spit up on it or they pause it on it or they lose it. So I highly recommend when you go out to buy or purchase or get your comforter, get 3 of them so that you can have one in the wash, and if you lose one somewhere or one's left at daycare, you don't have the issue at nighttime that it's at daycare's lost, and you're then trying to introduce a comforter that's foreign to the baby. So get 2 or 3 of them so that you've got them on rotation. So that is the best way to do it. Get it smelling like you first smell, be consistent with it, and get a couple of them so that you're able to rotate them. But a really, really powerful, positive sleep association. And when I say positive sleep association, that's opposed to what we call probably negative sleep associations, which are, and again, this is only a problem if it's a problem to you. So, if you're enjoying what you're doing, then that's absolutely fine. But if you're still needing to rock or feed your baby to sleep at 6.5 months, that's not a bad thing, but it is a challenge to recreate that for somebody else or at another time. Whereas a comforter is really easy, that if Bub's having a sleepover at a grandparent's place or a babysitter's coming, they're able to introduce the comforter in the same way that you do. And that's where I see it being really helpful. Holy smokes, we've got lots and lots of people coming in and lots of questions. I really, really am sorry. I forgot to even say hello because we've got lots of new followers who are keen to get more information about sleep and settle. So my name is Edwina. I'm a registered midwife, and I started Breastfeed a couple of years ago when really I just felt like there needed to be more accessible, interesting, unbiased education that you need to be able to watch in real time. So we do baby and child first aid, childbirth education, and we are about to launch our sleep program, which is hugely exciting. And so many of you have been asking for this for years. So I'm really glad that we are finally able to deliver. To launch, we've got a sleep masterclass. It's 100% free course on Thursday night, talking about the sleep environment, establishing rhythms and routines, and talking about specific sleep guidelines. I've popped the link there for you to register, and I will just be answering any of your questions here for about the next 20 minutes. Shelley, hello Shelley, 6 months old from Cairns. You helped so much answering all my questions for my pregnancy and birth. Now excited for sleep. Yay, Shelley, I'm so glad. And I think so many of you who have been on this journey with us for Breastfeed, I think it's perfectly timed introducing the sleep. How is your sleep going, Shelley? And this is the thing, it's not about even if your sleep is reasonably good, it's looking at what little tweaks we can make to make it even better. And somebody spoke to me last week and said, oh, look, I don't really feel like this is a problem, but their community family child health nurse said that it was a problem. And I was like, no, like a problem is only a problem if it's a problem for you, okay? So we support all parents navigating all types of sleep and settle issues. If you're wanting to continue to demand feed and co-sleep, that's okay. But if you're looking for a bit of help or support to get a little bit more sleep and do that, then we're able to help you as well. Jessica has said, hi Ed, Bubby's 4 weeks old and we are in Newcastle. Yay! She gets quite congested, especially during the night. Any tips to clear this? I am sitting her up after a feed for at least 30 minutes. Yes, Jessica, and I think as well, there is a lot going around at the moment. So first and foremost, I'm going to assume Bub either if Bub's in her own sleep space or sleeping in her room, I highly recommend getting a nebulizer. So again, like we just got, I think our brand was just like a vaporizer, a Vicks vaporizer, and you're able to put a bit of eucalyptus oil in that, and it just keeps the room really well. Like I just found whenever my little babies got quite congested, that was really helpful. And if you are breastfeeding, and I know this sounds a little bit strange, but you can actually squirt a bit of breast milk in her nose, and that can help with the decongestion. It's really hard for newborn babies, and particularly at that age, because she is still a nose, like she's still, in terms of breathing, she's not, if she's congested, she's breathing through her nose when she feeds. So they're nose breathers, so they're at the breast, and they might feed at the breast or the bottle for 20 or 30 minutes. But they need to be able to breathe through their nose at the same time. And if they're blocked and congested, it can really affect their sleep, and it can definitely affect their feeding. So we want to do as much as we can to decongest. So a squirt of breast milk up either nostril, which will make her cough and splutter, but can also help with the decongestion. And just getting a vaporizer, adding a bit of eucalyptus oil to that is hugely helpful. So try that one. Hello, Diana. It's hello, Edwina. Diana from Sydney. My boy is 7 months old and have to go back to work soon. I have problems of expressing breast milk. Do you think I have to start formula as he doesn't sleep without breastfeeding? Right. Well, so Diana, there's a few things to unpack there in that question. So difficulty expressing, or when you express you don't get much milk. I'm curious to know what are the challenges there, and do you think I have to start formula? Again, it's really like what would you like to do, or what do you feel if you're not able to express or you're not expressing breast milk? There will have to be something when you're navigating this change back to work, and I know that's really challenging. In terms of though the sleep, are you breastfeeding him still to sleep for the day sleeps, or is that just through the evening? Because that's probably something that we need to address and support you on, because if you're going back to sleep, we need to look at what ways we can be helping Bub to settle and to get to sleep during the day when you're not going to be able to be there breastfeeding. So that's definitely something that we can help you with our sleep program, is just introducing how to transition from either rocking or feeding to sleep into how to teach your baby to sleep through our settling guidelines. They're very soft settling guidelines. I don't endorse any cry it out methods, again, just because we know that that is only going to be stressful for Bub, but it's also pretty stressful for mum and dad, if I'm perfectly honest. So Diana will be able to help you with that one. And that's a really common question that we see a lot around sleep, is when we're preparing to go back to work, and breastfeeding to sleep hasn't been an issue. It's been something that we've been enjoying, but when you're not actually physically going to be there, how can you help your baby learn to go to sleep on their own without you there feeding? I haven't had my morning cup of tea, so you're joining me for it today. Shani says, hi Ed from Tottenham, New South Wales, 17 weeks tomorrow. Oh, congratulations, Shani. Hopefully you'll be able to come and join us for our birth education courses. I recommend that women start at around 17 to 18 weeks, so that's perfect timing for you. People always say, is it ever too late? I think we've had someone who was like 39, close to 40 weeks, who joined our childbirth education course and just binge watched all the information. The beauty is that you can just watch it in your own time at home from the couch, and watch as much of it whenever you like, which is super, super cool. Steph says, my 8-week-old has a cold. Do you have any tips to help her feel better? So first and foremost, Steph, I would just say, does she have a cold, and does she have any fevers? So if a baby is under 12 weeks of age and has a fever, which is a temperature over 38 degrees, we would actually like that baby to be reviewed by a medical officer. So I'm just going to ask that first and foremost. That is an important thing that we teach in our baby and child first aid classes. If she's just congested and has the signs and symptoms of a cold, your challenges are going to be similar to what we were just talking about earlier. They're nose breathers, so feeding little and often. So you might notice that they're not doing, that she's a little girl or better. Yeah, girl or boy, sorry. You might notice that she's not feeding as well. So offering her more feeds, but she'll probably be taking smaller volumes. So it's going to be lots of cuddles and lots of feeds, I'm sorry, at this time to help her get through that cold. Again, a squirt of breast milk into her nose is again going to help with the decongestion, and adding a vaporizer with a bit of eucalyptus oil into her room or her sleep space will help. But really, it's lots of cuddles. Make sure just in the family as well, there's lots of hand washing and looking at really good hand hygiene. That also helps decrease the spread. Mel has said, thank you, my absolute pleasure. Hello, so many of you coming in. Hi Dwayne, my son is 4 weeks old and is very vocal and grunts lots. Is this normal? Yes, is what I have to say. I actually have a video because one of our mums sent in a video and said, is this normal? Babies, particularly newborn babies, are super noisy. So and I just want to really put this clause in there, if you're concerned about any breathing sounds, so you're worried about their breathing or they're unwell or they have a fever, then that's a bit of a separate situation. You need to be having a close look at your baby. But the grunting and the groaning and the farting and the burping, all of that our little newborns do is super duper common and can be really noisy. I know personally from my experience with Polly, I assumed, especially as a midwife, that she would sleep in my room for the first 6 months, but it was like day 3 or day 4. It was like sharing a bedroom with a little truffle pig. She just snorted and snouted all night and I couldn't sleep. So she actually moved into the nursery, which was next door, and I could still hear her, but it meant that I could get some sleep while she was asleep. So they are really noisy. And I actually teach this as well in our sleep course, because their body, their gut, it's all going through a very big transition. They've gone from being a water breather and eater, where all they were doing was breathing and drinking your amniotic fluid, to now they're having milk. And, you know, there's a huge mind explosion. Like, it's like developmentally, they're learning so much. Their brain will grow more in 12 weeks than what it will in 2 years. So there's a lot that your baby is comprehending, and also that there's a lot that their gut is getting used to, hence the burping, the farting, the grunting, etc. So yes, completely normal and very, very common. Also, something else that's happening at this stage is we talk about the different types of sleep. So it's really important that everybody understands this, is that we have the REM sleep and the non-REM sleep. The REM sleep is that early sleep that your baby goes into in a sleep cycle, and it's the rapid eye movement sleep. And that is when they're learning, and everything that they're learning and their brain is growing, that's happening in the REM sleep. Now, this has been pretty simplified. The non-REM sleep is when their fingernails are growing and they're laying down fat tissues and their bones and muscles are growing. So that's sort of split into the two different camps. However, newborns spend a lot of time in their REM sleep, so that light sleep. Hence, they're probably even opening up their eyes, calling out, grunting, groaning. If that is happening, just leave them for a minute or two to see if they'll go back into the next sleep cycle, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be getting up to them straight away. Wait until they are calling out. They are noisy, they will grunt and groan, and I think it's just important that as new parents, you know that and you expect that, and then it makes it much more manageable. Patricia says, my 6-month-old will only take her day naps on me. She will not go down at all and often only sleeps for around 40 minutes. So Patricia, this is a really good example of, is that a problem for you at the moment? So some parents will be like, you know, I love that they take their day naps on me. And some parents will be like, I want to be able to do something around the house. I want to be able to get dinner on, or unpack the dishwasher, or whatever that is, have a shower, wash my hair. I'm guessing that it is a bit of an issue for you, or you wouldn't be asking for my help. We will definitely be able to support you with this, with the sleep program. And again, something very common that we see for your 6-month-old, and particularly that she's only having 40-minute naps, I would first and foremost be supporting you on introducing some positive sleep associations, routines, and how she can self-settle as opposed to settling on you. And at 6 months old, we really want to be able to give her that gift of sleep. And then when she learns to self-settle, she will be able to link her sleep cycles. So she is only sleeping on you for one sleep cycle. One sleep cycle is about 40 minutes. What we want to be able to do is first and foremost let her learn how to go to sleep without you having to nurse her. And then the second stage would then be how to resettle her so that she can link her sleep cycles so that you're getting more than 40 minutes. You want to look for an hour and a half or a 2-hour block of sleep at about 6 months old. So Patricia, join the webinar. I'll put the link here again. And then we will be able to support you in the sleep program with that. Our sleep program is broken up into different ages. So you'd be able to join the 6-month group, and that would be hugely helpful. Shelley said, sleep is so hit and miss. Awake at 5:36, usually 4 a.m. today. Excuse me, that is not the daytime. I still sometimes have to remind my children of that. Feeding twice through the night, which I want to drop. I've tried self-settling so many times, but just can't get it. Thank you. Shelley, look, and that's the thing. You need to have some support around that. And that's why and you know the way that I teach, I'm actually physically going to show you how to do it. And I think a lot of blogs, and if you go Googling, they talk about self-settling. It's like, yeah, but how do I actually do that? And I'll be able to show you that, a few different methods that all of our birth beat mums who have been practicing already with it are really loving it. The key is consistency, choosing a method that works for you and your family and then sticking to it. But also you need to have the support from someone like me who can be letting you know that yes, you're doing it correctly, or no, we're going to tweak and try something a little bit different. So super excited for Thursday for that to be launching for you. Mary has said, hi from Canada. How much milk do newborn babies need in each breastfeed? I have 50 mils in my both breasts. I'm not sure if this is enough for my baby. Mary, that is such a good question. And sorry, all my bits and pieces are packed up from the weekend. So let me just grab, sorry. They're all still packed up from the weekend, but can I just say, a baby's stomach, so how old did you say your baby is? A newborn. This is a great little demonstration that I actually do in my classes. So at day 3, okay, so at day 3, this is the size of your baby's stomach. Can you see that there? It's a little bouncy ball, and it's approximately 25 mils. So the absolute capacity at day 3 being 25 mils. I just find that really interesting as a visual reference. Day 10, the baby's stomach is the size of this golf ball. And again, that's approximately 45 to 50 mils. So you are spot on. That's day 10. So how old is your little bubba, Mary? How much milk does a newborn need? And as an absolute newborn, so day 1, the baby's stomach is actually only about 5 to 7 mils, the capacity. And that's the size of a marble. So it's really good to be able to put that into perspective. So if you're worried that you don't have enough milk, remember their stomach and their capacity is only really small. If you then go and put 100, 120 mils of formula in a bottle and give it to a newborn baby, it's just going to get vomited up. It's also going to feel really uncomfortable for that baby, and it's probably likely that they're going to be really windy and fussy after that feed. Think of if you go to some sort of eat all you want buffet and you eat absolutely everything in front of you and then lie down and try and go to sleep. You actually feel quite sick and full, and you're not able to go to sleep. And the same thing happens to babies. So please know that what you are doing in terms of the amount of breast milk is perfect, Mary, and would be plenty for your baby. Plus your baby digests that milk really quickly and they'll be ready for another feed in the next 3 to 4 hours being a newborn. But that is 100% enough for her. Laura says, Bub is 11 weeks old and only sleeps for 45 minutes at a time during the day. We have white noise in Love to Dream and room dark as I can get it. Any tips to consolidate? Yes, Laura, and I think for you, and you are doing everything really well, can I just say first and foremost, is that you probably need some help and some support with some resettling techniques so that we are able to consolidate and link those sleeps. So waking at 40 minutes And so you're doing everything well in terms of getting to sleep, so the settle, but you need some help and support and strategies with the resettle. And once you can teach the baby to resettle, then they'll be able to resettle on their own. And then you've got the magic link and the consolidation so that you can get some longer naps. Because I know, like, I remember with Theo, I just felt so anxious because when I'd put him to sleep, you're like, right, I've got 30 minutes now. You know, he took quite a bit of time to settle before he woke. And I was like, I want to give you the gift of being able to get those longer naps during the day. Plus, I imagine, Laura, by the end of the day, if Bub's only getting 40, 45 minutes sleeps, they're probably pretty overtired and a bit ratty and fussy by the end of the day. And I know that was definitely the case with Theo. Whereas if they can get a big sleep during the day, they're just so much happier. So much happier. Mana says, I'm 32 weeks pregnant and my bub is already head down. I'm getting intermittent pain in my pelvic area. It feels like my bubby's coming out. Is this normal second pregnancy? Yes, Mana. So often people can experience again a lot of pressure, particularly at the second, for the second baby, or experience something that we call lightning crutch. However, very hard for me to say, I hope it's not your baby coming out at 32 weeks. Does it feel like contraction pain or does it feel like pelvis pain for you? And again, if you have any concerns or if you feel like you might be in early labor, super important that you reach out and speak to your midwife or obstetrician. But it is also very common for there to be a lot of discomfort as bub gets heavier and pushes on your pelvis. Mana, a good exercise for you is go and check out our website birthbeat.com. We have a free video about how to get bub into the optimal birth position, and it can definitely help you make you feel a lot more comfortable during your pregnancy, but also know that we're getting bub into the best birth position for when birth time comes. Jess has said, 8-month-old, great night sleeper, 7 to 7 every night. Day naps will only go to sleep when being breastfed. Would like to get my son to go to sleep without relying on feed to sleep. Any tips? Yes, Jess, so many. And again, like a great example of it's not a problem until it is a problem. And now if it is something that you would like to address or change, we will 100% be able to support you on that. I would recommend that you join our 6 to 12 month program, and then you'd have access to everything of what to expect as well over the next few months, particularly focusing on settling and resettling for those day naps and then consolidating those day naps. So it would be a little bit of a stage program for you, and then reconsolidating, and you're going to see a world of difference then in the day sleep. And I imagine as well, your little 8-month-old would be getting pretty tired towards the end of the day. And it's really hard for you because you can't get a lot done when you're constantly having to do that. So yes, we would be able to help support you. At 8 months old, 100% your baby is able to learn how to go to sleep without being breastfed if that's what you would like to do. So make sure that you register for the webinar, and then also you'll find out everything about the course when you do that as well. Brianna, my almost 5-month-old sleeps with a dummy, but pulls it out every minute and gets frustrated. She does this for half an hour or more until she falls asleep. Any tips to help with this? I've tried putting another dummy in her hand, but still pulls out her dummy. Yes, I was going to say, so definitely there's a couple of things here to explore, Brianna, is do you want to continue with the dummy? That's the first choice, first and foremost. Or do you want to phase the dummy out now and look at some other self-settling techniques? Because she is 5 months old, there's probably some other things that we could introduce and then just take the dummy away. However, at about 5 to 6 months, we would expect that bub is able to pull the dummy out and put the dummy back in themselves. Have you tried attaching the dummy to the baby's sleep suit or to her so that she's able to feel it and attach it back into her mouth? Because at about 5 months or closer to 6 months, you'd expect that she has the dexterity to grab the dummy and put it back in her mouth. It also might be that she's just playing a bit of game, and that is her self-settling routine. So I'd try pinning a dummy to her so you can get, and again, make sure that you get something that's not a choking hazard at all, and see how you go with that. Or explore the option of actually removing the dummy, and we could teach her some other self-settling techniques. Yoseline said, my baby girl is 7 weeks old. Sometimes she wakes up gasping for air. What is the right thing for me to do? Any clue to why this happens? Yoseline, so can you describe a little bit more that gasping for air? Does it actually look like she's not breathing? Because if at 7 weeks old, your baby is doing that, you definitely want to get them checked out by a medical officer. So I would be encouraging your baby to go and see your GP and describe it. If possible, what will be really helpful for your doctor is that if you can film it so that they get an opportunity to watch what you're describing. Is there any color change? Is the baby distressed? Or are they just waking up and crying? You know, I definitely need to see a bit more of the bigger picture there. But I would say if you've got any concerns that it's around your baby's breathing, you need to get them reviewed by a medical officer. And what's really helpful for the doctor is if you're able to show or to film a little bit of video so that they're able to see that. That is out of my domain. Mary, he's 9 days old. Sorry, Mary, I think I've missed the first part of your message there. If you want to let me know, thank you. Patricia said I can't click the link. Edwina, has anyone else had an issue with that? I'll put it up here again. I'm not sure. Sorry, Patricia. You might just need to refresh and try again. We've had lots and lots of people joining, so I think the link is good, but sometimes you just need to refresh and try again. All right, it is 10:30 team, so I have been rabbiting on. I'm sure you're all getting sick of listening to me. Mel, I'll just answer your question. Bub could self-settle and resettle previously, but now 6 months old and arms unswaddle and has lost the ability to self-settle or settle. Any tips? He just gets really distracted by his hands or rolls onto tummy and can't roll back. Yes, Mel, and again, this is something that we definitely see, particularly at leaps and stages, so sleep regressions or progressions, as I prefer to call them. And it is just about looking at how we can reteach your baby to self-settle. It is definitely something that they need to continue to learn, and we can continue to support you on that. So again, sign up for the webinar. We'll be able to go into this a lot more deeply, but we cover that in our course as well. Surprisingly common. All right, team. Oh my gosh, so many more questions coming through. Yoseline got it. Excellent. And as I said, join here for our webinar. We will be limiting the numbers so that we can do some live Q&A just like this. Please do me a favor, share the link far and wide. We want to make sure as many parents are getting the sleep that they deserve. Any of the free resources that I've mentioned are over at birthbeat.com. We've got a bunch of free videos where you can watch and download all of that information into your inbox if you want to watch it later. If you're interested in any of our programs, come over to birthbeat.com and have a look at them. The sleep program will be launching very, very soon. When you join us for the webinar, you'll be the first to know exactly when that is. All right, I can't wait to see you all on Thursday night. And I will continue to answer any of your questions in stories here today. Okay, bye.